Hello, Malik Carrington here, Family Budget Fisherman. Thank you for tuning in to this another special episode on this channel. Well, you read it in the thumbnail and in the description below. I'm going to be talking to you about my budget rod and reel arsenal. Let's get started. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for staying with me. Thank you for being such great supporters of the channel. As I mentioned in the intro, I have three rod and reel arsenals: my budget, my medium level, and my high end. And real quickly, the budget level is when I go fishing and I'm not really focused on catching fish as much as I am sharing a technique, taking kids out, uh, trying to get quick fishing moments in, maybe 30 minutes, 45 minutes before I have another obligation, something like that. So I take any one of these 9 or 10 rods I have behind me. My mid-level is when I'm going to more serious, bigger bodies of water. And, they could be, is areas where the water is big enough to have some really trophy-sized fish. However, there's not much competition on that body of water. So that's what my mid-range is primarily for. Maybe some competition, but it's not heavy. My high end is when I go to bodies of water where I know maybe they just had a fishing tournament. Or in the case of Clear Lake, they may have 2 tournaments going on one at one time. And so I want to get in there and I want to get my bag limit. And the way that I get my bag limit is to actually get out there with some high-end equipment so I can be very precise in my techniques, in my presentations, and be able to get the limits that I am looking for. So that's why you're getting the presentations as they are. And I'm going to be starting with these here. By the way, as you can see, this is the first episode in my garage since we bought this house. And I'm going to kind of doll it up. It's going to look better. It's going to have some changes here and there. But overall, I'm going to be in here a little bit more often. I mean, it's very cold outside. So that's another reason why I'm here. And lastly, today happens to be my wedding anniversary. So I'm getting this video out to you all on Valentine's Day, just before my festivities begin. But I wanted to remember you all in making sure that content got to you. So happy anniversary, love of my life. We've been married 12 years. We've been together over 20 years. And I think I mentioned to you all, we got 7 children. We're a blended family. Our oldest is 26. Is she 26? Yeah. She's 25. She'll be 26. And then our youngest is 3.5. So happy anniversary, love. So in no particular order, I'm going to start off with this one right here. This is the 13 Fishing Defy Black. It's part of the discontinued Defy Black series. And I think I got 2 of them in this arsenal of rods. And this, I primarily throw tube jigs that are between the lengths of 3 and 4 inches. Once they get over 4 inches, I got another rod over here that I like to throw that's closer to a worm-sized rod. But I love it. This is paired with my Lew's Speed Spin. This is also a discontinued reel. However, as I have a bunch of them and they're still in great working condition, and so they are part of the active arsenal. And I have the string that I have on here. Most of you all who are familiar with the channel know I use Fins Fishing line here. This is the Fins 215 braided line. No, actually, this is the 645 on here. So, and I use these primarily for throwing, again, tube jigs. And the weight usually is between 3/16 and 3/8. Sometimes I'll throw a half, but 3/16 to 3/8 is pretty much where my sweet spot is. This one does not have a leader on it. This is braid all the way down to a snap, as you can see there. And the main reason why is because this will also double as my popper, top water, or if I'm throwing, different types of top water, smaller top waters. The next one, yep, 13 fishing again. This is the same thing. While that rod is a medium, this is a medium heavy. Same concept though. The range on here is 3/8 to 3/4, but as you can see, I throw my bladed jigs on this one. For the medium heavy, I'm throwing bladed jigs. I have a leader on it, and in this case, I have a swivel here because I just want to keep the line twist down. I have a better way of managing line twists, but for these rods here, because I forget so often, I don't manage them as well as I should at times. I still have the swivel on here, and this line is 15-pound test fluorocarbon, and the line here is 645 braided line. And just as I've just shown you a moment ago, I have the Lose Speed Spin with the 13-5 black rod. Now, this can sometimes double for throwing crankbaits, and different other types of lures. But I primarily throw my bladed jigs, so my chatterbaits, my inline spinners, and my spinner baits on here. Next are, I'm gonna go over here first. This is primarily my frog rod here, and what I like about this rod is this is another discontinued ugly stick. I got a bunch of ugly sticks at this level because ugly stick is my favorite rod category of all time. All of my personal bests, my PBs, are on ugly sticks, every single one of them. I have a lot of big fish on other rods and other combos, but every time you see me with my PB, it was caught on an ugly stick. And this is the intercoastal, this is the, not intercoastal, I think this is the select, inshore select. This is the inshore select rod, and this was the discontinued model. I'm going to show you the current model, which is immediately behind me. But what I liked about this one is that it was a very stiff rod, even though the lure rating was between 1/8 and 1/2. This being an inshore rod, it is a saltwater rod, so it was based on it doing saltwater applications. I use it for freshwater, and let me tell you, I'm able to throw frogs very, very far with this, and I'm able to haul them out of some of the messiest grass and muck. I have paired this with a discontinued Regal, and this is the Daiwa Regal 2500 XIA. Bought this this reel about, oh Lord, it has to be, this is 2023, 10 years ago, somewhere in that neighborhood. And I bought 10 of these. And the way I bought them was they were original sale. I think they were $55 original sale. And I was able to, using, at that time, Big Five Sporting Goods. They had coupons and discounts, and it was a Black Friday sale on top of that. And I was able to walk out the door with these at $22 a pop. So why not get 10 of them? And that's what I did. Again, I'm using my Fins 645 braid, and it's straight braid to a snap here, and that snap breaks at 68 pounds. I'm not worried about that lure going anywhere. And let me tell you, I love this rod. I hate that they discontinued it, but I understand why. My next one here is, and I'm going to go ahead and grab the current model of that Inshore Select, simply because it's right behind me. And I'm going to get into a fight with my other rod. There we go. So this is a 7'6" model. And by the way, that one was a 7-foot model. This is a 7'6" model. Same thing. The lure rating on here is, it says 1/4 to 5/8, but trust me, I can throw a little bit heavier lure on here if I needed to. This is the Ugly Stick Elite Inshore Select. This is what replaced that version, which was based on the Ugly Stick Light series. This is based on the Ugly Stick Elite series. And as you can see, it has a full cork handle. down here. And I primarily use it for throwing jigs, pitching, and flipping jigs. And I've been very successful throwing my jigs and pitching and flipping heavier baits. Again, this is Fin 645 with a Regal. This is the 2500 XIA, just like the previous one there. And when I'm going into those smaller bodies of water and I'm pulling out 4 and 5 pound bass, this rod can handle it. So I'm very excited about owning this rod after all these years. And by the way, I've had all these rods for a pretty good long time. This is another ugly stick. Well, I told you I'm ugly stick heavy in my budget area. And as you can see, I have a lipless crankbait on here because that's what I throw on here. This is as long as the Inshore Select. This is a 7'6", but this is not a saltwater. This is a medium light version. And the reason why I have a medium light version is several reasons. I have this with braided line here. I may end up putting a fluorocarbon leader on here, but I've been throwing it with some success straight to braid. But I have the more parabolic medium light model rod here because I needed to have some give. So as you can see, even with the ugly stick, I got to be careful because that's very, see where it bends? Way down, almost halfway in, all the way down to the runner guide, which is this guide right here. Stripper, runner, and then the other guides all the way up to the tip. So that's what it is. And please forgive me for hanging it on here. I recently broke my hook keeper and I forgot to put one on the rod. So I will do that. So don't bless me out in the comments because you see me doing something that truly is sacrilegious. And I get it. It's sacrilegious. So, but this is primarily my crankbait rod. And I throw all kinds of crankbaits. The only thing I don't throw on here are deep cranks because I don't fish more than, say, 15 feet. Generally speaking, I'd say 95% of my crankbaiting is 15 feet and shallow. Usually, if I want to go deeper than 15 feet, I make sure I'm on a boat with great electronics and I'm dropping some heavier weight straight down to the fish. I'm not going to crank it. I'm just going to go ahead on and fish straight down. That may result in fewer strikes, but I don't have to look for fish, which is why you would throw long casts and send a deep diving crankbait 25, 30 feet down. You're looking for fish. You don't know precisely where they are. If you can present a 6 or 7 inch worm straight down in their face, they'll take it as fast as they'll do a crankbait. Now, next here is my Skeet Reese worm rod. This is actually built as a Cinco, Cinco, shaky head, Ned Riggs, and so forth. As you can see here, I have this is a braided line here. I have it paired here with that Lose Speed Spin, just as some of the other rod combinations there. And again, the leader is a 15-pound, no, this is actually a 20-pound leader. 20-pound leader with a snap because I'm trying to prevent line twist on this particular line. This is the Fins 215 line on here. However, it was the green. If you see most of my other lines, they're blue, like the blue line you see right here. When I first started purchasing fins, fishing braided lines, I was going with the more chartreuse or green color. And then I saw the blue and I decided to go with the blue. It's an aesthetic thing. I just like blue better than green for fishing line. But there's no real big reason technically why I did that. As you can see here, I have on it a shaky head. Let me loosen this up a bit. Got a shaky head there. But I have the worm. Remember, the shaky head refers to the hook, not the lure. The worm is a curly tail, and that's only because at the time I was wanting to throw the shaky head technique with a curly tailed worm rather than throwing it with a straight-tailed worm. So I love this. I probably have caught more, and I have to say, for those of you who don't know Skeet Reese won the Bassmaster Classic, I want to say 2009, either 2007, 8, or 9. I can't remember what year it was. And was his series of rods at Bass Pro Shops, and this was in concert with Wright and McGill. He's supposed to come out with something for 2023, but I don't think that he's with Wright and McGill retailing it in Dick's Sporting Goods anymore. That said, I know he's with Cast King with the reel, though. So there's that. But I probably have caught more 5-pound bass on this particular rod than all of my other rods combined. I mean, I've really had a lot of good times with this rod, this combo. A lot of 5-pound bass with that combo. Now, the last two here, and these are my crappie rods that I throw. This one is my longer 7'6". Believe it or not, my crankbait rod and this crappie rod are twin rods. It's just application because of the way technology is with rods and reels. You don't have to have them so technique specific. These for me are priorities, not necessarily the rod is made for this, except for the Skeet Reese rod. So they're more universal rods. I use and I throw this. Notice that this is a 7'6" medium light ugly stick elite with a cork handle, and I throw mostly lures that are 2.5 to 3 inch. I will sometimes go to 3.5 inches. Usually when I get to 4 inches, I'm going to use something different. I'll use the 13 fishing rod, and I know it's mostly tube jigs there, but I'll use that for 4 inches. But when I'm throwing, particularly for crappie, I will throw this rod with a crappie bait on it. And I have this paired with one of two rods that I purchased on Alibaba. I think it was Alibaba. Yeah, Alibaba. You can get them on AliExpress, and you can also get them on DHgate. These are all they're websites that have a lot of Asian manufacturers for all kinds of products. I happen to buy these reels here. I've had these reels since 2013, and I love these reels. Let me tell you, I love them so much that I wanted to produce them in mass amounts under my own name, but I let other priorities get ahead of me, and I never did it. I may actually go back to it, but for right now, this is what it is. I have on this line again the fins. This is when I was throwing when I had the green line. This is the fins 215, and of course both of my crappie rods have long leaders with no swivels on them, as you can see there, and that's just simply because I don't expect the same kind of line twist. Now let me tell you the technique that I use. If there is line twist for me, I usually will take this. I'll go to a big open expanse that's got about 100 yards or 150 yards. I will cast this out as far as I can, and then I'll walk back the rest of the distance. And the goal is to get this all the way down to the spool, and then just reel it in normally with nothing on the other end or something that doesn't cause line twist or something like that. And you just reel it in normally, and you can reduce the amount of line twist, particularly for my mid-level and high-end rods and reels. That's what I do. And so that's a technique for you right there. So that's this one right here. And by the way, these are also bait runners. I wanted a reel that could do everything. I could catch crappie, bass, catfish. I could do everything on it. This is a 6:2 gear ratio. The drag on here, I believe, is 16 pounds, maybe even a little bit more than that. It has double handles for some good cranking. And here is the bottom here for bait running. So I wanted a kind of a do-it-all reel. And that's what I got out of it. Here is the same thing. Again, this is the Ugly Stick Elite, and I'm throwing the smaller crappie crappie jigs. And these are, I'm throwing the 1.5 to 2.5 inch on here. Again, I have a long leader on here because I'm crappie fishing. This, believe it or not, is a 14-pound leader, but I get it done. As a matter of fact, I'm doing some more crappie fishing this weekend with one of my preacher buddies, and we're going to go out there and hammer the fish this weekend. And here is that reel again. This is a 7-foot rod, and this handles typically 1/8 to 1/2 ounce, but this is an Ugly Stick light, and again, it has the deep. It's bending way down, and this is my primary setup. I do have one more, and I'm going to get it to you right now. And that is my specialty, and I only use this when I'm going fishing on shore. This is my 12-foot Shakespeare Crappie Hunter, and it actually says Shakespeare Crappie Hunter right there. This is a 12-foot rod, and I have this paired with, I want to say this is a what reel is this? Akuma. This is an Akuma Stratus, and this is the size, I think this is a size 1,000 or 2,000. Again, I've had this rod. I have 3 of these, and let me tell you, I have so much fun when I catch crappie on here. And sometimes I'll just, for fun, I'll put on a 4-inch drop shot or something like that, and I'll throw it. Even though I've got rods over here where I throw drop shots with, I will sometimes put a drop shot on here and throw it just to have a great time out on the water. And I usually catch them. I mean, I think my largest was a 2.5-pound bass on here, but I was fishing for crappie. So I believe it or not, you can catch a lot of crappie with drop shots if you know what you're doing and you present it right. Catch a lot of drop shot crappie. So this is the last of this budget rod and reel arsenal. The total value, when I say budget, I'm talking about rods and reels. When I purchased them, they were under $100 as combos. Now, you know me, if you were buying them full retail, some of them might get to $125. I think full retail, I think the highest one is about $125. But I try to stay $125 or less and call it budget. Over $125 up to about $250, I call that the mid-range. And I'm saying that for combos, not just for the rod and or the reel, but for combos, because it's not difficult to get to $250 and sometimes even $300 on a combo that's a mid-range combo. For me, that's $250. So $125 to $250 would be my mid-range. And you'll get an opportunity to see those on the next video. So, in conclusion, please don't do anything to buy any of this equipment and break your family's budget. But by any means, both legal and ethical, get out there, get on that water, and do everything you can to break your personal best. Have a great one. I'll see you in the next video. Take care.